catch me balling like I'm in the end zone. I got my homies in the no new friend zone. You know, making plays that land us in the end zone. Coming in clutch, you can catch me in the end zone. End zone.
What is happening, people? And welcome back to In the End Zone UK, your home for all things NFL and much, much more. Well, the conference championship round is in the books. 2 games, 4 teams, one ultimate goal, a place in Super Bowl 60, and those games are done. It is over. We have 1 game left in this season, and it is Super Bowl 60. I cannot wait. But to talk about these 2 conference championship games are my trusty In the End Zone UK hosts. Number 1, the Dave, who is big and beardy and a little bit weirdy. How are you doing, Dave?
All good. Bit tired from last night, but glad I stayed up to watch both games. A cheeky little 30-minute snooze halfway between them, but definitely worth waiting up for the second game. The first game was what is called doggus shitus, but got a good game in the second one, which was all we need.
Absolutely. Also with us today, he's Camo, he's little, and he's not happy. Hello, Camo. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm all good. I can say I slept. The first game put me to sleep. And then I had to get up this morning and watch the games without advert before looking at anything. So I want to say I feel like I experienced it. But yeah, good choice. Getting my head down and doing it that way.
Absolutely. And I'm not surprised the first game did put you into some sort of sleep-induced coma. We'll get to talking about all of that. And the reasons being are this week was the conference championship round. 4 teams trying to fight their way into the Super Bowl. And we had 2 very different championship games, both delivered in their own way. And we will get into talking about them. The first was the AFC Championship. This was the Patriots at the Broncos, where the Denver Broncos hosted the New England Patriots at Mile High Stadium. This one did not explode off the screen. Obviously, it put Camo to sleep, but it was some form of championship football. A game that started clean and cold. Conditions were manageable. Both defenses came ready to play. And as the game wore on, the temperature dropped, the snow came in, and by the 4th quarter, it had turned into a proper January blizzard. Points were definitely a premium. Every yard mattered. Every mistake was magnified by about 10,000. And the Patriots did what they've done best all year, and that is win. They controlled the clock, they protected the football, and they held a very, very narrow lead. Final score, Patriots 10, Broncos 7. A low-scoring battle it was, and it was definitely affected by the elements. Secondly, and the second game we will get to talking about, is the NFC Championship between the LA Rams, hosted by, can I say my Seattle Seahawks, but the Seattle Seahawks. This was in the NFC, and the Seahawks had everything on the line. As a home game goes, this was as loud and as raging as playoff football could possibly be. A total opposite of the AFC Championship. Good conditions, big plays, momentum swings, lead changers, offense making statements, defense stepping up when it had to. It was back and forth, and it was on until the very, very last few seconds. But when that moment came, Seattle finally got the job done. Final score, Seattle Seahawks 31, Rams 27. A massive win at home. Massive win for second-year head coach Mike McDonald and team. So, guys, that was a very brief roundup for the listeners as to those games and how they happened. Normally, we would do a game of the week, but we're not going to do that. There are only 2 games, so we're going to give them as much attention as they might need. We know who won. We know the scores. Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots are heading to Super Bowl 60 in Santa Clara in San Francisco. But to wrap this up, this season before the Super Bowl, we are going to give our championship edition of Slap or Sign. You know the rules. 2 players, AFC, NFC. We don't have many people or teams to pick from, but we're still going to do it. Slap people for bad games, sign people for great games. Big Dave, I'm coming to you, and I'm coming to you in the AFC, the sleepy game, the game that put Cam to sleep. We watched it together at my house, and it was a poor state of affairs for the most part. But take us through your sign in the AFC. What was the things that actually went well? What did you enjoy about this game, or about the surroundings of this game?
I can probably go as far as saying I didn't enjoy anything about this game. It was absolutely doggers. I don't want to hear people go, when it was snowing, it was windy. It was actually pretty sunny until the halfway through the third quarter. And by that stage in the third quarter, they'd managed a total of 10-7. So I don't want to hear it. It was really, well, I mean, it's incredibly difficult to pick a person to sign from this game. But I'm going to pick Pat Satan. He was on the losing end of this game, but you just can't throw at him. The guy's unbelievable. He had a couple of pass breakups where the ball was essentially in the wide receiver's hands, and he's just absolutely blanket covered him. I nearly signed Hufanga because he's an absolute monster. I don't know why the Niners let him go, but Satan, I think he's probably the best corner in the league.
Yeah,
there wasn't really much to sign, to be honest. But Pat Satan, it was. I mean, we're going to go through it, but it wasn't a great game.
No, it was not. And, you know, as a combined 17 points, 10 points scored by New England, and we'll talk about as to why and how, but Pat Satan had essentially their number one wide receiver on lock. They couldn't do anything. Most of the year, Pat Satan has been the shutdown corner when he's been healthy. And yeah, I think coming into this game, it was one of those where it was like, right, which defense is going to be the defense that is able to stop the other team scoring? And Pat Satan is a captain on the defense. He is a reigning defensive player of the year from last year, and he did exactly that in this game. You know, the Broncos gave up almost nothing. Drake May had 86 yards passing, and they had, as a team, a combined 140 on the ground. 65 of those were scramble drills by Drake May when everything else had fallen to bits. Yeah, so Pat Satan, it is tough and slim pickings when we're talking about players from this game in such a huge. I guess what I'll put to the team once we've heard Cam's slap is just about the conditions. And Dave, you said, you know, it was only really one quarter that had a hindrance, whilst there was some wind and it stopped some field goals being made. I thought this was a really poor display of overall football anyway, which is not how I wanted to start this podcast. You know, it's a conference championship game. These are two teams that finished 14-3 in the regular season. They beat a lot of teams, but it seems they both beat a lot of bad teams and never really were battle tested. But Camo, before we get to maybe some of the more brutal reviews of this game, can you polish a turd and send me a signage?
I'm going to sign Vrabel because we said, I think it was the first podcast of the season, I think me and Dave both called that the Patriots were going to be the most improved team. Now, did I ever in my wildest dreams imagine they'd be Super Bowl bound? No. But what he's done is he's installed a belief, a system. Yes, I absolutely get it. They've played the worst teams they could have played this season, but they won them. My issue is how they've been in the playoffs. They've been terrible in the playoffs, but sticking positive for now, he can't have done any more than what they've done. They've got to the playoffs. They've got to the playoffs. They've got to the championship game. They've got to the Super Bowl. Any fan would have taken that at the start of the season. They'd have been absolutely buzzing. 14 wins in the regular season. It sounds amazing. When you look at the tape and how it's been done, does it pass the eye test? Probably not, no. But to do it with a second-year quarterback, and from what the Patriots sort of were the last couple of years, the turnaround's crazy. And I'm putting that all on the head coach. And do I believe they're the best team in the AFC? Not by a million miles.
But they're there.
But they've done what they needed to every week.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's fair credit, Cam. I think there were moments in this game where because it was just so low scoring and essentially, not a great game for an offensive pair of eyes. He still made some good calls in this game, whether they be situational or dependent on the weather. There was moments where you thought, you've got to go for this because the Broncos, all they need to do, at 10-7, all the Broncos need to do is score a big touchdown, and the chances are the way the Patriots were playing on offense is they were never going to get there. But he made some big ballsy calls to trust his defense, to kick the ball, kick balls away, punt balls, and keep field possession. This was almost like a game of rugby where you're kicking for field possession essentially, as opposed to trying to score. He made some more, I guess, well-educated calls, and that kind of sums up the season for the Patriots. Feels like they've sort of semi-tailored their approach to the teams they've been playing. They've been able to run the ball on the ground, or they've trusted Drake May to throw the ball in situations you just don't throw on this Broncos team, period. Obviously, due to Dave's sign of Pat Satan and Tanalawa, who both of them had an amazing game.
I just want to add to that. I think that the Patriots, they need to take this opportunity. They need to take this opportunity to win the Super Bowl, because I can tell you for one now, I'll make this prediction now, they're going to have the biggest fall off next year. There's nothing special about their team. I don't think anything special about it. I think they've taken the. In fact, what I would say special about their team is probably the head coach, but more importantly than the head coach, it's having that Josh McDaniel back as the play caller.
Yeah, he's class.
He's just an elite play caller. But next season, they're not going to have the luxury of playing all the bottom teams. All I've been seeing because obviously Vrabel came from the Titans. Titans have been shit. Patriots have been good. Everyone's hailing him as this masterful head coach. I don't remember taking the Titans to the Super Bowl.
No,
never. It's a combination of things, and people are getting really. Yeah, well, AJ Brown.
Yeah,
it's more. They've made the best of a bad situation, as in the team was crap, so they played all the bottom teams, or they played teams that were really bad this year. Next year, do you want to know their schedule for next year? Bills, so obviously Bills, Dolphins, and Jets.
Yeah,
obviously. Bears, Chiefs, Lions, Jags, Chargers, Seahawks. They're all away games. Home games. Bills, Jets, Dolphins, Broncos, Packers, Raiders, Steelers, Vikings. You're telling me that team's a positive team next year? Not a chance.
Yeah, so you could chalk up maybe the two games against the Jets, the Raiders,
Dolphins,
everything else.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Yeah,
and I would say
are they going favourite into them games? Not a chance.
No, I think all of them teams have got better teams than the Patriots.
Yeah, they've just taken advantage of. We've said it all year that it's been a very weird year.
Broncos have done very similar.
Yeah, like you would expect the Chiefs to come back, the Ravens, the Bengals, the Bills. Then you chuck in like the Chargers might do something. There will be other teams. The Colts looked amazing for half of this year. Yeah, the fact that we've got an AFC Championship game of a broken Broncos team and a Patriots team that were terrible last season sums everything up perfectly.
Yeah, I think we've been seen off with and I'm not saying for one. Well, I am saying that I wanted the Bills to be there. The Bills would have destroyed both of them.
Now I wish the Bills are there. Yeah, I didn't want the Bills there.
No, both of them teams that turned up for that game yesterday would have been destroyed by Josh Allen, because the one thing that was missing yesterday was a competent quarterback. And we'll get onto that with the slaps, obviously, but it was just such a disappointing game, to sit and watch. Like
for a fan, these games are meant to be spectacle, the best of the best going against each other for that place in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Well,
neither might not make the playoffs next year. You could put that quite easily.
The fact that, I mean, you should be absolutely jizzing your little peni off, Dom, that your team has got to play one of these, or it's going to play the Patriots.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's hard to not go on a tangent as to how bad this game was and how bluff both teams really were coming into this game in terms of their position, the games that they've had to play, their schedule, the bad or good luck that they've had against particular teams in the playoffs. I mean, the Patriots they were in the wild card round. Like, they had to play all 3 games to get to this Super Bowl, and they have scored the least amount of points ever in playoff history to get to a championship and then to a Super Bowl. They've scored next to no points because the teams that they've played have also scored next to no points. And it's hard to it's hard to charge forward and be like, they deserve it. This is going to be great. We need to get behind it as football fans. We need to get behind the fact that at least the Patriots are going to the Super Bowl with a serviceable quarterback that isn't a backup, a guy that is apparently in the MVP conversation, probably, second or third leading the race, as well as a team that's defensively coached well and has a great head coach. I think that this game was poor, and I do think that it's definitely not 2 of the best teams in the AFC together in that championship game. It felt wrong. It felt wrong watching this championship game, and watching the NFC championship game felt all kinds of right. There were 2 chalk and cheese games. I guess I'll talk about it when we do the preview, but as to how I feel, yeah, I mean, I'm glad that we're not necessarily facing, the Bills or a Lamar Jackson Ravens, or, I know they didn't even make it, but I'm glad that it's not them. I feel like we've got more of a chance against the Patriots. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Seahawks
absolutely.
fans will be really happy. Patriots fans will be really happy. Everyone else will be thinking it's done going into it.
Yeah, woulda, shoulda, coulda. And it's definitely not done, going into it. We just got to make sure we say that. The chances are that the Seahawks are a better team, but football is football, and it's the Super Bowl. Anyway, yeah, absolutely. Both points fully valid. Again, I'm going to try and put a positive spin on it with my sign, and then we can really unload if we feels like we need to when we get to slaps. But my sign is going to be the Patriots defense. I feel like in the playoffs, it's kind of come to life a little bit. And as much as this game didn't even really need defense because neither quarterback could do anything, I think they made it hard for the Broncos, and the Patriots defense made it hard for every team they've played in the playoffs as well. Christian Gonzalez, this Clavion chase on getting, who did they get back? They got a defensive tackle back who's pretty good. I can't remember his name right now, but they've got players, Christian Barmore. They've got players who aren't, aside from Gonzalez, aren't elite on paper. I think Gonzalez is probably a top 5 corner. I don't think he's as good as Satan. I don't think he's as good as a couple of others, but he's up there. He had a game-sealing interception in this game, but they just shut everything down. Like Stidham had what I knew was going to happen at one point in this game, like a 50-yard bomb to Marvin Mims, because Marvin Mims only knows how to run one route, and that is a deep shot. They were always going to get one because they were always going to keep trying it, and I thought it would come early because they're going to try and surprise the Patriots. Aside from that, they also got shut down. 133 yards for Stidham and 50-something came on that one pass. It's incredibly poor. But giving credit where credit's due, the defense has been good. It's been solid. It's a solidly coached team of players that are, average and above. Robert Spillane, Kiris Tonga, who's celebrating hard on the obviously on the Super Bowl win, but he looks like a giant baby. And it just, I think it's just a team that they play bigger than they are. They play well structured, mistake-free defensive football, and they're anchored by Carlton Davis and Christian Gonzalez, who are 2 great corners. I think they're good. I think that gives them, a building block for next year, but I still think they are going to regress incredibly heavily. Dave, I love the take. I love the take that start of the season, you and Cam both said they will be the most improved team. I now love it that they've not even lost or won the Super Bowl, and you're saying that they're going to be the most regressed team, and I absolutely wouldn't argue with that. I wouldn't take a bet against it, that's for sure, because I don't see much within this team that makes me feel great. Stephon Diggs is an old receiver. He's had a bit of a resurgence. Well done to him. Drake May is he's 94 rated on Madden. Just so we all know, for those out there who play Madden, Drake May is 94 rated. Patrick Mahomes is 92 rated. Have a word with yourselves, EA Madden. But there isn't any superstars on that team. Gonzalez is the one, and he's on defense, and then there's nothing. Their offensive line isn't even that great. That new rookie that they took in the first round, Campbell, has been a turnstile this whole playoff run. That's why Drake May's had 6 fumbles in two games. Like, it's crazy. But the defense did enough in this game and has done enough in the playoffs to put the Patriots where they are. Fair enough. It gets a sign from me, and that's probably it. That's as much as I can give. So let's roll into the slaps for this NFC Championship game, and we got to bear in mind for this AFC Championship game, and we've got to bear in mind, this was 10-7. To your point, Cam, this is supposed to be the most elite football played, and at least if you get a 10-7, if you were watching the Texans defense play, you could argue the Broncos, but the Texans defense playing the Seahawks defense, like you're going to come down. It's going to come down to like aggression and swarm and forced mistakes. This was just pedestrian. But Dave, anyway, slaps for AFC. Where are you guaning?
I'm slapping Drake May because
Drake May.
You cannot be in the MVP race, and essentially he's probably going to come second to Matt Stafford.
Yeah,
in my opinion, he should come second to Matt Stafford. But
agreed.
Well, he shouldn't. I think in terms of quarterbacks, he should be the second one. But I mean, that's regardless. He threw for 86 yards. And again, you can say that, yeah, the weather came in the fourth quarter or halfway through the third. I get that. But he still had the best part of 40 minutes to put more than 86 yards up. And he didn't. He was 10 for 21. He took 5 sacks, didn't throw an interception. He ran. I do like the 2 plays, the one at the end to seal the game. I think that was great play calling from McDaniel to just keep the ball in his hands. He completely took the Broncos by surprise.
Risky though, because obviously Bowden broke his ankle on the second to last play, doing the same thing in the Broncos game, didn't he?
Yeah, but you can't think like that, can you? You just got to
try and win the game,
yeah. And then his touchdown to the rush up the middle. That was a great play call. There was no defenders near him.
Yeah.
But in terms of his actual play throughout the game, it was awful. You could be if you put that game in front of somebody who'd never seen football before and said one of these two is a backup, they'd have picked Drake May.
Yeah, true.
Stidham had some nice throws. Yeah. Granted, he threw that stinky pick at the end. I don't know what he was looking at, but he's a backup. And the fact that the Patriots managed to put 10 points on a quarterback that has barely done anything, since he was drafted in like 2019. Is appalling, and we had to sit and suffer through it.
It was a suffer as well.
And then the crowd chanting MVP for Drake May. Get a grip. I realise all the Chiefs fans are back on the Patriots bandwagon, but it's embarrassing that when you look at the other game and Matt Stafford, the other MVP candidate, is lighting the Seahawks defense up. It's just an embarrassment, and that's what I mean. I don't think they've got, to what you were saying. The reason I think they're going to regress is they haven't got anybody. They've not got their team on paper is probably as talented as the Bills team. The Bills have got a Josh Allen, that keeps them relevant. If they had an average quarterback, they'd have been awful this year. He kept their head above water. Drake May is just in my opinion, an average quarterback. He threw for 4,000 yards this year against absolute scrubby scumbags, bad teams, bad defenses.
And barely threw a touchdown in the entire playoffs.
I think he threw 3 last week. But...
Yeah, but average it out. But nevertheless, I mean, he threw 86 yards in this game, and they're chanting MVP. That's not MVP kind of vibes, is it?
Is he the most valuable player on his team? You'd argue that probably a defensive player is the most valuable person on their team.
Gonzalez probably. But it also goes to show you that how many valuable players do they actually have. I think it is more of a coaching scheme scenario. I think they've done wonders with what they've got, and that is why Vrabel should win Coach of the Year. And like you say, the play caller that they've got as the offensive play caller is also amazing. And I think that with mixed with strength of schedule and the fact that they've played a Broncos team with me at quarterback in the AFC Championship is just awful. It's not a true indicative outcome of what this year could or should have been. And as much as the weather, obviously, it's definitely not an excuse. They had nearly 3 quarters without it being horrendous. When it comes down to the fourth quarter and you do want to try and go for it and win the game, it was a hindrance. It made it made an impact, and so you can't even that's also something that goes against this game. I don't know whether. Well, I don't know whether we'd digress onto it. I think I'll take Cam's slap first, but I'm just not sure how I feel about snowy weather games in the playoffs. I know that people do love them and they add character, and we don't all want to see dome games or whatever, in every kind of football a playoff game, because then it becomes mundane. But there's something about it. I feel like if your team got beat because you're a pass heavy team or whatever, because you couldn't see through the snow and you missed out on a Super Bowl because of that, I think everybody would be saying, why can't we just play in good condition?
No, I agree. I think it definitely took away from the end of the game. But I feel like the Patriots were only in position to win because of mistakes from the Broncos, from that quarterback. He's backwards, whatever that kind of pass shovel thing was that he did that they said was backwards. That essentially is what gave them the touchdown. They did nothing else apart from that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Camo, give us your slappage, please.
I'm just going the whole. Unfortunately, my slap is this game. Is this whole? It's a slap in the face to fans of football, of people. Yes, okay, it's a close game. It's a competitive game, but actually, it was amateur like, and the season is so short, and then you have to wait so long for the next season to roll around that this is what we get, and that. I've not enjoyed football this year as much as I have previously. This isn't helping.
Okay.
You want to see something that gets you excited.
Absolutely.
Fans aren't going to buy in to that. You're not going to go, oh, I watched this really good game. I'm going to go try and play football now. I want to know more.
Yeah.
Yeah. The whole thing for me it's just a massive, I say it's a shame, but this is why the NFL it's massively year by year, because anything can happen.
Yeah.
Maybe this is the perfect example of that. Taking your shot. Like, as I said, the Patriots, we didn't think would ever be a million miles, nowhere near it.
They'd have had some of the worst odds. They'd have had some of the worst odds going into this season. They were a 4-win team for 2 years prior to this. And then all of a sudden they are now in the Super Bowl. So you're right. I mean, look, it's difficult. I should have started with the NFC. We'd have started high. But ultimately, this being a game that puts people to sleep, makes people question what a championship game should be. Yes, all of those things are absolutely true. But like you say, Cam, it's so circumstantial, and it is potentially a narrative that can be pumped up by saying at any time within the football season, any team has got a shot, depending on a bunch of circumstances, and that's depending on the best quarterback in your division getting injured, or one player running hot for a 7 or 8 game streak, or just getting a brand new head coach who knows how to scheme the best out of his so-called average players. Because we're saying that the Patriots have got no superstars, right? On the flip side, midway through next year, we could be saying that, I don't think we will, but the way this season's gone so far, we could be saying Drake May is a top 10, 5 quarterback if he actually continues this MVP caliber-esque regular season and we forget the playoffs. You could be saying that this Clavon Chaseon, this Christian Gonzalez, this Will Campbell, like these players could prove themselves over time, because all we're really looking at is what we believe to be a Patriots team who has profited off a down season from the teams that they've played, because the 2 years prior to that, their players were shit. And now we might be seeing the rise of some superstars. it totally depends, doesn't it? Because you could look at some teams out there and players all like you could essentially really, I don't know whether it's time or whatever, but you could look at JSN and be like Jackson Smith and Jigba, and you could be like, well, this season he's a superstar. Was he a superstar last year? No. Like, was it because he didn't have the opportunity? Was it because of a different coach? Who knows? Like, this could be the start of something for the Patriots that then snowballs. It could also not be, and we all believe that it won't be, but we have been wrong before, once or twice. So yeah, it's a shame, but you know, there's nothing wrong with slapping this entire game cam because it was worth it. This is not worthy, and was not worthy of an AFC Championship game. Me and Dave were sat on the sofa last night, and I said, Dave, this is the same game which we watched Mahomes and Allen on a sling-off that went to overtime, scoring about 55 points each in one of the most exciting games I've ever witnessed. That's an AFC Championship, you know? And then you get this 10-7 in the snow. It's poor. It's poor. I'll finish this, then we can get far more positive and animated about the NFC. But my slap in the AFC is going to a bunch of quarterbacks. It's going to Mahomes, Lamar, Burrow, Rodgers. Add more to that list if you want. It's going to those because we watched Jared Stidham in this game. We watched Jared Stidham essentially throw one deep ball and a rollout touchdown pass and then do absolutely sweet nothing for the remainder other than visibly shit himself whilst he was being rushed to the point where he couldn't even mentally comprehend what he needed to do in throwing the ball away. So he threw it somewhere backwards. So it was recovered. And ultimately, if the refs had got it right, should have just been recovered for a touchdown. That being the only touchdown the Patriots scored in this game. He single-handedly gave the game to the Patriots just because he had a brain fart, shat all in his pants, and couldn't make a coherent decision to keep the ball safe. So Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Lamar, Rodgers, every single one of those quarterbacks is 10 times the quarterback that Stidham is. And I just think it's a massive disservice that we weren't treated to seeing one of those in this game. Because even if Bo Nix had been playing, he would have played better than Stidham, I've got no doubt. And he's probably a bit more lethal with his legs when he's not got a broken ankle. But I didn't want to see Bo Nix either. You know, I didn't want to see Bo Nix. I would have rather seen Bo Nix, but I didn't want to see him. I still maybe am, you know, this glory supporter or whatever, football glory. I still want to see Allen. I still want to see Mahomes. I still want to see Lamar. I still want to see Burrow. I would have accepted to see Rodgers. But that's sort of how I feel about this AFC this year. It has been really subpar. It's been open and anybody's had a chance, but it's because there's been so much crap. You think? Or too harsh? Or too accurate?
No, I agree. I think, and this is where for me, I don't think we need to talk about salaries, etc. right now, but they are your superstars. They're the guys that the broadcasters want to see. They're the guys that the NFL want to promote. But who is actually delivering? None of them are actually delivering. And so what we're saying, actually, the best team's the team that stays healthy. Like, yeah, it's been a rough season. That's all.
It's difficult to say that stays healthy. I mean, there are things that play a part in how healthy you can be, I guess, as an NFL player, especially as a quarterback, when so much rides on a quarterback. You know, like Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen to a degree, but he's been healthy, so he's cool. But like the way that the game is going, like what's his name? Jaden Daniels. I know he's not in the AFC, but let's use him as an example as well. If your game plan is to use your spaghetti-armed, spaghetti-legged quarterback to run through 260-pound linebackers, chances are your quarterback's not going to last very long. You know, and Mahomes, Lamar, whilst Mahomes was a non-contact injury, we've seen him twist, break, hyperextend ankles, knees that have had a knock-on effects because he's a mobile quarterback, quotations in mobile. But then you've got a Stafford or a Brady or a Rodgers who just stand in the pocket and let it go. Manning for years, who just went back to back. Eli Manning stood in the pocket for about 600 games without having a day off because he didn't decide to try and run through Bobby Wagner head first. And I think it's part of coaching. You want to stay healthy. If you think you're a mobile team, you've got to have a good backup, ultimately.
AFC, done.
Tony Romo deserves a slap.
Tony Romo,
he deserves a slap, league-wide or DAZN wide. Sort these fucking adverts out. Put different adverts on. I'm sick of seeing the same advert. The Saquon Barkley, Justin Jefferson, and
in the barbershop.
In it.
Yeah.
It's the quarterback from the Windsor, Jaden Daniels. Why am I still seeing that advert? All three of them had crap years.
Terrible.
Get rid of that advert. Put something else on. I'm sick to death of seeing that. What was the other one? The influencer and the Todd Gurley that's not been relevant since 2019.
Yeah.
One.
And design your own website through something called yeah, it was terrible.
Ionas. Yeah.
Watching those...
Sort it out. Every play that stopped, I'm seeing that. And then when that isn't enough to crush the life out of my soul, the game comes back on and Tony Romo is just talking pure and utter shit. He is fell off a cliff so badly as a commentator. He's awful. Awful. He's bad doing Mahomes games, but he's even worse when he's just making shit up. At one point yesterday, he says, yeah, that's exactly the reason why I think they should do this, but then didn't explain what this was. Went to talked about something completely different. He just talks for the sake of talking.
There's no middle ground.
The guy who's with him's like, mate, will you shut up?
Yeah.
You're just waffling shit. It'd be like, yeah, what they should do now is they should run the ball. They throw the ball, get the first down. Yeah, well, I'd have ran it. You got the first down. Shut up, you moron. You are ass as a QB. You have got no, apart from the fact that you were an NFL quarterback, you're no better than Jarrett Stidham. You ain't done nothing. I don't even think he won a playoff game, did he?
He must have
the
won.
First playoff game that he won. I'm looking right now.
I think they got to some form of NFC championship, I think, with Romo, or at least the divisional round. So they must have won one, but he wouldn't have won many. Won
2 of 6 games.
Yeah.
He sucks. Did you know what? Yeah, I'm sick of hearing him. They need to start get rid of him and bump up Greg Olsen.
Greg Olsen's class, yeah. Love a bit of Greg.
He lost his space to Tom Brady as the premier guy on there. CBS, get rid of this melt who just waffles shit and get somebody decent on there. There's a streaming service that's allowing you to mute commentators, listen to all the rest of the sound apart from commentators, and I cannot wait for that. I hope that comes to DAZN, because him, Mark Schillera, for whatever that fat retard's name is, get rid of him. Get some decent players on there. I'm sick to death of hearing him talk. Sort your adverts out.
I agree. We had rants at length. When you're watching it in the UK at silly o'clock in the morning, you need a little bit of variety just to keep... And you're watching that calibre of a game as well. You need something to latch onto to keep your eyes from rolling to the back of your head. And that was not it in terms of
14,
game.
Yeah, 14 punts in that game. And after every single one of them, you get them frigging adverts. So you think, do you know what? I'm just going to jump onto Instagram. Oh, wait, it's only been 30 seconds since I last looked at it. Nothing's changed.
Yes.
Awful.
Absolutely. Romo, the whole game, players, slaps have been dished and minimal signs. All right, guys, let's change the narrative a little bit, if nothing else, for my sake. And let's jump into the NFC. So I'm going to start with you, Dave. And the NFC game, as a reminder, because we've been on the AFC for a while, at the Seahawks house, Lumen Field in Seattle, against the Rams, the two best teams statistically and record-wise in the NFC, fought off, and it was a hell of a game. Seahawks managed to get the win 31-27 against the Rams. But who are you? Let's start, whilst we're in slap mode, let's start in the slap mode. And who are you slapping from this game?
Xavier Smith,
Special teams kick returner.
that retard that fumbled twice.
He did fumble twice.
What good is having a kick returner or punt returner that cannot catch the ball? Explain it to me. Surely that has to be your most sure-handed non-starter. You don't want to risk your starters. I get it. Your most sure-handed receiver or corner or whatever.
Yeah, you want somebody who can catch 6 eggs in a hanky and not break one, don't you?
Hands of absolute satin. You know, the ball just touches them and it just sticks to the hands, you know, like the softest hands going. This dude fumbled. I mean, he was essentially the reason this game turned on its head. He's the one that gave the Seahawks the breathing room.
Yeah.
To which, I mean, I very nearly, you're probably going to go there, so I'm not going to slap him. Or maybe you're not. But
I think
somebody's going to slap him, so I will leave him out of it. This guy fumbled twice, and I said to you that when he fumbled the first time, whoever the gunner was, that he ran past him, and I see them do this all the time, and it really bothers me. Stand in front of him, because if they're going to fumble the ball, it ain't going to go backwards, is it? It's going to hit them and bounce forwards. And it hit him, bounced forwards, and he managed to jump on top of it because the gunner had run slightly past him. The second time, he didn't do that. He bounced off him, and the gunner jumped on it because he stayed in front of him. You can't. You need every phase of the game, unless you're playing the Broncos or the Patriots. Every phase of the game needs to be singing. You know, especially when you're playing a team like the Seahawks or the Rams. You can't give the other team a possession because they'll punish you for it. And that's exactly what the Seahawks did. They took that turnover and scored a touchdown. You know, gave you essentially a 10-point lead, I think, or an 11-point lead. You can't do that. So he's getting it. He's getting the good dude. I didn't think actually there was 2 people that were obvious slaps in this game. He was one, and I'm sure you guys will cover the other.
Yeah, absolutely. You've covered it off, you know, pretty nice. Now, not going to delve into it too much, but like you say, the timing of this was pretty damaging for the Rams because the Seahawks got an opening touchdown and then were held to a field goal, and then it became a little bit of a stalemate, and the Rams scored, etc. But this was something that sort of sparked the life back into the Seahawks because they just had to kick it away. It was a great sack just before this by Brandon Fisk on Donald for a big loss, and it was like, okay, Rams have got a bit of momentum here. They could really clamp down on the Seahawks if they can move the ball, and they didn't even get the opportunity to get hold of it, you know. And the fact, like you say, the fact that he'd done it once and then did it again, they had to put Kyron Williams in then as a kick returner, but obviously he was never going to return it. It's just basically a kick catcher to make sure nobody dropped it. That's not the position you want to be in an NFC Championship game. You need special teams to be operating. And to be fair, and this is like, Cam, you've said it all the way through this year, the Seahawks have been really fortunate on special teams. There's a method to the madness, right? Like when we've scored off a special team score, you've gone, oh, that's just lucky. It swung the game. I'm not taking the piss, by the way. I'm just saying that because we have had some fortunate special team scenarios.
Your mocking Cam's voice would suggest you are.
Oh, sorry. Was that not accurate?
my voice is much deeper than that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Voice much deeper.
Sorry. The Seahawks, look at my bulging muscles. But the Seahawks have been very fortunate with their special teams. Sorry about that, Cam. I didn't really mean to do it in a horrible way. I was just deciphering between, you know, mine and your voice. But, you know, special teams is part of football, and as much as what you would call a special teamer recovering a fumble that's bounced off somebody's chest, is that a good play by the gunner? Is it not? It's obviously a mistake on that player, but being in position to
he shouldn't have had the opportunity to do it. That's the issue.
Yeah, the opportunity, no, but it's also the punt. You know, it's the hang time. It's it's a bit of everything. It's not just luck, you know.
No. I think this is what I'm trying to say, that you need, like, you trading for Shaheed is such a huge thing. Like, the reason people had Cordarrelle Patterson on their team for years, even when he was an old gimpy goat, was because, one, he could catch the ball and he could still run, and he was still scoring like return touchdowns well into like his mid-30s. You know, and we've had DK this year, and our special teams have been really good. Yeah. The rest of the team's been shit. But picking up Shaheed, who is essentially probably right now the best returner in the league. He's rapid and he's safe with the ball. Is a huge thing, and you need to have these people that they probably don't get much look, as in people looking at them in college. They're huge, these people are. And if you can if you've got a punter that can get the ball in the air long enough for your gunner to get down and put pressure on these people, it's a massive advantage, So I know what you're trying to say, yeah. And I think having special teams is so big that sometimes people forget it and they poo-poo it. But when he essentially gave away like points there,
yeah,
just by not being able to catch a ball,
yeah.
And if it's moving all over, just move out of the way. That's the safest thing anybody can do. Because 9 times out of 10, it bounces and goes into the end zone anyway.
Yeah, but you've still got the opportunity to then get your full squad's hands on it, run the ball. Even if you have to punt it away, it's not the same, is it? It's not the same as an instant red zone turnover opportunity. So, yeah, it's a fair sign. It's a fair slap, Dave. So, and a massive tide turner in that game. Camo, who are you going? Where are you going? Hello. Yes, you rang. Where are you going with the NFC Championship? Slappington, I'm assuming somewhere lanky and Seahawkish.
Yeah, absolute douchebag. Reek Woolen.
Yeah.
The other big could have been momentum shifter, tide turner in this game was a taunting penalty, which I get you might be an idiot that can't catch a football. But in this scenario, the Rams had just gone what was about to be a 3 and out, have to punt the ball back to you boys. But Reek Woolen maybe got overexcited and taunted after the play over the person, automatic 15 yards and a first down. They keep the drive alive. The very next throw was a 40-yarder or whatever to Devontae Adams for a touchdown.
Over Reek Woolen as well.
Yeah. Like I said, it should have been a punt, which you never know that you might have muffed. Who knows? You will never know now. But the fact that kept it going and then they scored one play later could have been massive. And all because he wanted to flex or whatever. Yes. Could you, he deserved a slap. An actual physical slap.
Oh, absolutely, Cam.
Yeah, that is.
And if you'd have been in the room with me and Dave when that happened, I was flipping, seething. It was totally unnecessary, as you say, Cam. It immediately led to. I think this was Sean McVay. I think he was like, "Look, Reek Woolen's head will have fell off because it was 3rd and 12, then became 4th and 12. The 15-yard penalty gave him the automatic first down. On the sideline, which I loved, by the way, Nick Emanwari, our rookie, was briefing the life out of Tariq Woolen. Like, this is a 4th-year starter in Woolen, and Emanwari is absolutely crucifying him to be like, why can't you just stand on your business and get out of there? It was Reek Woolen that broke the play up. Like, well done. You've done your job. Walk away like a man and own that 4th down stop, because we were 11 points up at that point going into the 4th. And instead, it gives it all this on the sideline, directly at the sideline and directly at Matt Stafford. And Stafford just drops a dime on him the next play for a 40-yard touchdown over the top of Reek Woolen's head. Like, it was, you couldn't have written it. It was like a movie. It was like, that's happened, and Matt Stafford was like, Bob, there you go. You chat shit, get banged. That's basically what happened. And I was livid because it was a tide turner. It was a I thought at that point, everything goes sideways. Things start to fall off. I still had hope that we would continue to play well and maybe win, but it just felt so unnecessary, like criminal. And I don't know what that will have done for Reek Woolen going. He's in a contract year. He needs paying. I don't know whether that, because there's been signs, he's been benched, over the last couple of years. He didn't have a great start to the season, then his second half has been good. I don't know whether that has done him any disservice as to how long he remains a Seahawk, whether they would be willing to pay big money for somebody who can be busted. I mean, that 2-play window showed you everything you needed to know about Rick Woolen. Like, and obviously people don't know because they've not been watching the Seahawks how I have, but this is exactly it. Poor attitude, amazing skill set, like physically, like he's got Mr. Tickle long arms and he's absolutely rapid, so he can break passes up against the best of them. Hence, breaks a pass up on Devontae, stops him getting the first down, then gobs off and gets blasted in coverage by Nakua. And it's just like, no discipline. I don't know how I feel. I know last night I was yelling to Dave to say I can't wait till we let him go.
I'll say you've I don't want to say got away with it.
Oh, we got away with it.
It doesn't matter now. Like,
and they'll all go into the locker room and probably all be mates and everything's fine. But if that had been the linchpin that would have allowed the Rams to win, damn right, him and Warrior should be briefing him up as a rookie. You know, like that's how I feel. But it was a major tone changer within that game, even though the results still, remain the same. Any more on it, Dave?
No, I mean, I agree. It's certain position groups, isn't it? Wide receivers, corners, they're all a bit special. They all excessively celebrate the most stupid things. They all, and a lot of the time you see it, they do the stupid seatbelt sign, then a flag will fly in behind them, and it'll be like, I was only pulling him.
Yeah.
After essentially breaking up a play on 3rd and 13 or whatever it was, you've done absolutely everything you need to do as a corner. You've stopped the play, forcing them to punt. You're up big. Why gob off, you skinny little rat? Because Stafford would probably put you on your arse anyway. You weigh about probably 72 kilos. You gob, like McVay would literally pick you up and snap you in half. Run back to your team, get on with it, deal with the punt, you're up. But no, like you say, he goes into man coverage against Nakua, who dusts the best corners in the league, let alone an average to slightly good one, and just Stafford just doinks it on you.
Yeah,
he didn't have to say anything. That's a massive shut up moment. I'm glad, like you said, and we said it at the time. Sorry, I'm glad that your rookie got amongst him because he needed it.
Yeah, he did.
He shouldn't have had to be him. Leonard Williams should have gone over and been like, "We're out, like we're down now because of you."
Yeah.
Get a grip.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn you into a human pretzel in the changing room.
Absolutely. So I think that says it all for Rick Woolen. We'll see what the Seahawks decide to do. Obviously, he's gonna be starting in the Super Bowl. He has the makings of a great player. Just for everything great about him, he does some really silly things, takes bad coverages, and makes bad decisions. So I'm not going to badmouth him too much now. We've said it, but it was in the moment, thinking about where you're at within the game, and more importantly, 15 minutes away from a Super Bowl, that has to be part of your decision making. If that's a regular season game, who cares really? But before the Super Bowl, it's unforgivable. So I hope that he got briefed when he got into that change room, even though they won. It still needs to be addressed. Cool. My slap is not Rick Woolen, and it's actually nobody from this game. Has it any guesses? That's a no.
Keir Starmer.
Donald Trump. No, I'm slapping the Minnesota Vikings. And I'm slapping the Vikings because Ginger Jesus, a.k.a. the prince that was promised, a.k.a. Sam Darnold, was in their building last year. He won 14 games. They've got Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, and a bunch of sons that can catch balls, make plays. They've got a defense that's outrageous. They were building last year and did really, really well with 14 wins and, got bounced ultimately by the Rams, how ironically, in the playoffs. And they decided that because of that one outing by Sam Darnold, that he was not the man. And they'd let him walk and they'd roll with Jay McCarthy, or Nine, as they call him in the locker room. Why did you do that when you can then go and watch a year later, Sam Darnold put up another 14 wins in the regular season, another win, his first win in the playoffs, and then play essentially the game of his life in this game against a the very, very capable Rams defense. He threw for 346 yards, 3 touchdowns, passer rating of 127, made some amazing throws whilst under duress, on the run, and you don't have him. So, I mean, like, ultimately, I'm slapping the Vikings, but I'm kind of pulling this a little bit Sam Darnold's way and just being like, Vikings, what the heck? You must be sick to death watching this NFC Championship game and watching Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold is going to the Super Bowl. Sam Darnold has a 50% chance of being a Super Bowl champion. 2018 draft, I can't remember exactly who was in that draft, but there was a bunch of good players. I think Lamar was in that draft. I think Baker Mayfield was in that draft. Was Josh Allen in that draft? Yeah. I mean, wow. And he's the first person to get to a Super Bowl. He just needed a bit of belief. You know, he needed somebody to believe in him. And the Seahawks obviously do. I'm so happy that they do. And, you know, we all had our doubts, apart from Dave, about Sam Darnold. And we were all unsure what we were going to get. And in the end, he's been everything Seattle could have asked for. Not too flashy, just does what he's supposed to do. He's had some wobblers, but he's, for the most part, been very, very safe. And the Vikings must just be feeling sick, because I feel like the Vikings with that quarterback, as per last year, are playoff contenders and maybe better if you continue to build around somebody like that. I don't know. What do you reckon?
I agree. I mean, we've said it a million times, and with this year, that the Vikings, you know, you can't let who lets somebody go who's won 14 games, unless they retire because they're an OG. But he's young. How old is he? 26, 27?
He's 28, but he's
28?
He's young. He's younger than Mahomes, Baker. He's younger than Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to win it. He's obviously got to win it. There's a lot of pressure on him to win, especially because now the Seahawks obviously are the favourites to win, and rightly so, based off the last 2 games that we've seen, or the playoff performances. You know, you destroyed the Niners, you put 30-odd points on the Rams. He's got to win it, but I do think that the Vikings should, you know, they've got real problems at quarterback. And if anything, I mean, obviously we saw the trade thing about them trying to trade for Joe Burrow. I think you've got to do that. You aren't, again, they're going to be stuck in that position where they're not going to be crap enough. I think the days are gone now of an Aaron Rodgers going 24. In case you didn't know, that was one of the many adverts that I saw 47 times yesterday.
Yeah.
A Lamar Jackson going 31st, or whenever he went 30th. Patrick Mahomes going 12th. Joe Burrow, Josh Allen going middle of the, you know, them days are gone, I think. One, we're not getting them quarterbacks coming through. Two,
they're going in the top 2.
Yeah. And obviously people are being less patient now, but I'm trying to think of retreads that could maybe go somewhere and do something. Maybe Kyler Murray can go somewhere and do something outside of that. But he just doesn't seem to love football that much.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Colts, they're surely going to sign Daniel Jones to an extension based on the way their team absolutely died a death once he got injured.
Yeah. Makes sense that they would sign him, yeah.
Yeah, there's just nobody else. I've just got the list of free agents.
Malik Willis could end up somewhere doing a job.
Yeah.
But
I've seen him at the Titans, so unless you've got the right people around him, and we say this about all of them, you know, the reason I think that a lot of them players that were successful were because they were drafted where they were. You know, if Lamar Jackson goes to the Giants with that awful O-line that they had for years, is he the same person that we think of now, or do we think of him as a
Kyler Murray,
Tyrod Taylor, you know, Marcus Mariota?
Yeah.
These people that I mentioned before, they were drafted to teams that were really good. You know, they didn't have the unfortunate perk of being drafted to the Tennessee Titans that have got me, you, and Cam as receivers and offensive linemen. We have to do both jobs.
I'll do special teams I can't catch.
Yeah. Well, you'd be no good on my special teams then. But yeah, like who do the Vikings? Who do they? Aaron Rodgers is probably going to go back to Pittsburgh now. McCarthy's gone there. Yeah, if he's going to play again,
I think so. Yeah.
Russell Wilson. Anybody want him?
Absolutely not.
He's a backup nowadays.
Yeah. Marcus Mariota. No. Zach Wilson. Maybe he could do it.
I would. I would say though, I would take Russell Wilson at the Vikings ahead of what they currently have got.
Yeah. Jimmy G's 34. Wow. Mitch Trubisky. He was actually good for a year, wasn't he?
He was.
I just don't. My point is that, like, once you've got that quarterback, why on earth do you let him go?
Mm.
They had both of them as well, Daniel
They did.
Jones and Sam Darnold.
They did.
Yeah, I don't know what they do. I think they're going to be in that despair where they're just going to recycle a load of quarterbacks and try and find something that works. 9 ain't the one, is he?
Nana, 9. No.
No.
Okay. Slaps. Done. NFC. Let's go on to signs. Let's talk. I mean, we're essentially slightly glazing Sam Darnold there, but there's more to say about this Seahawks team or Rams team if you sign anybody from the Rams. Let's go to Cam and Camo. Who are you signing from the NFC in this game?
Could go with Sam Darnold. I think it's his best game all season, but I've praised teams for doing this before and said it just makes utter sense. Jackson Smith, you have a top wide receiver in him and you fed him.
Yeah.
You've got to feed the hot hand, the one that's making plays, the guy that can be a difference maker for you, and he is certainly that. So, I mean, he had 115 yards and 7 catches it in the first half alone.
Yeah, he was dominant.
He just catches everything that's around him. Yes, he didn't break the record in the end this season, but there were times this season where he looked like he could break Megatron's receiving record. But he is one of the better players of the bigger names on your team, and he showed up. And these players have to do that. And yeah, he just is everywhere, wide open for touchdowns, downfield, slants, doesn't matter what it is, he will give his quarterback a good shot of coming down with that ball.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well done. I think you've got to, I don't know, is it play calling rather? I keep putting in the same person. You don't need to spread that ball around because actually he will find a way to be open. He will find a way to come down with that ball. And if he's caught five balls on one drive, who cares? You just keep going because he keeps on showing and turning up. So yeah, really impressive game. Yep.
Yeah. I actually think if you look at this performance as a whole from Jackson Smith and Jigba, it might have actually been his best game ever. Just in terms of what it meant, what he actually produced. I mean, he had 153 yards and a touchdown, 10 receptions. I know that, you know, he's had more yards than that and he's had more touchdowns than that in separate games. But what he achieved in this game, the contested catches, I mean, he took an absolute blast whilst he was catching a ball that was slightly, I wouldn't say overthrown, but it was thrown high. He had to go up, get it. He's not the biggest dude. He's not the biggest frame. I could tell you what, DK Metcalf wouldn't have come down with that catch. He took an absolute rumbling. I mean, Dave, you saw it, right? The body bag hit that he took from the safety where he knew he was going to get blasted and he still held on to it whilst he'd gone up and got it. It was probably like a 22-yard reception. And that was like about 4 plays after he'd caught a one-handed sideline snag. And he scored a touchdown at the back of the end zone while Sam Darnold was wheeling backwards under duress and just leaked out and got open. Like he just gets, he can do everything. And I think that was his best game of his career. Well, college, not college, because he had about 400 yards and 5 touchdowns in one game. But I think that was his best game as a Seahawk. He's
obviously a stud, isn't he? This game showcased probably 2 of the best receivers. Ironically, the stats were pretty similar for both. For Sam Darnold and Matt Stafford, and also Puka Nacua and JSN. He just shows you what you can do when that's what a true number 1 receiver should do. When your quarterback's not necessarily throwing it bang on you and you've got to make a leaping grab, you know you're about to get your clock cleaned by a defender or a safety that's running downhill at you, and you know that catch the ball, hold on to it. That's what you expect from your number 1 receivers, and I think that's the difference. You can tell him and Puka, neither of them have got egos. I mean, they probably have got egos.
Healthy ones.
They're top professional players. You know, they've got an ego, chip on the shoulder, but they don't. They're not the running and getting in the face of the opposition. You know, they catch the ball, run back, get ready for the next play. Same as Cooper Kupp, same as Devontae Adams. All 4 of them are professional people. And that's exactly what you want. You want your number one and number two receivers to be those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, so fair play to him. I'm glad it's worked out for him, especially because he came from that system where there was all these elite wide receivers that came from there, and he was pretty much the one that no one was really talking about. And ironically, he's probably the one that I would want the most.
What I'm going to do is jump on the back of this conversation, Camo. JSN's getting a sign from you. I'm signing Cooper Kupp in this game. And I know that's a little bit wild. He only had 4 receptions. However, he had a touchdown. He had a massive conversion on 3rd down to keep the chains moving in the 4th quarter. He was able to move the chains, score a touchdown. He's an amazing blocker in the backfield. For that reason, in this game, I'm signing Cooper Kupp. So you've taken JSN, I've taken Cooper Kupp, and it's just because of what he provided for the Seahawks, what he's provided all year, which I think is a leader mentality, somebody who's been there and done that, somebody who can coach up wide receivers in the locker room and yet still get the job done when the pressure is on. And he had like a little shimmy to beat a man and then barrel his way into the end zone. And he's just always there. I hope that we've got Cooper Kupp next year. We've got him to a 2-year deal, so he's not a free agent. But I just hope that he decides to continue playing football, whether we win the Super Bowl or not. I would still love to see JSN and Cooper Kupp still playing for the Seahawks next year. So for that reason, I'm signing him. And also there's the redemption against the Rams, a team that didn't want him. A team that basically said, nah, we're good. We're going to roll with Puka, which was the right decision, and then go out and get Devontae Adams. And, the difference between them, obviously, Devontae's had a much bigger impact for the Rams and, led the league in touchdowns. So I'm not saying that they've done anything wrong. I'm just saying that I'm glad that Cooper Kupp could score, I think, what was ultimately the winning touchdown against them. I think that was the final touchdown to lead to the 31 points. Good. One more. So I've done my sign, Dave, whilst you were on hiatus, and it was Cooper Kupp, and there's one more slot for you.
I mean, without stating the obvious, I think it needs to be the Ginger Prince. I was going to go Stafford if one of you was going to sign him, but I mean, like I say, they both had very similar stat lines, but everybody was doubting. He's had his doubters throughout, and I think that we, for the most part, especially since last year, have kind of been on the Sam Darnold train. And now, because he's a Seahawks quarterback, I guess you more so than anyone, but he's gone from obscurity. He's gone from being this guy who was overlooked, who was passed from pillar to post because nobody wanted him. Nobody thought he was that guy. And all he's done is just prove that he actually is that guy. And he's likely now to win a Super Bowl. And I think that, although I don't want to throw it out there that he's going to win the Super Bowl, but I think that by him doing what he's done, I think he's probably established himself as like that guy, as the quarterback that he actually is, a starting quarterback. And although you have got him on for another 2 years after this, maybe it's worth signing him to an extension, locking him up for 5 years, giving him some decent money. I don't think he's a douche. So I don't think he'd be like, give me 60 million.
No, me neither.
He might not be, but his agent might.
No, I get that. And I think that even from his interview, when he's like, I'm here because of these guys put in all the work, and that, you can just tell, like, him, there's a few of them who just seem like they know that if they take 60 million, that their team suffers.
Yeah.
And if your team suffers,
you suffer.
Look at Patrick Mahomes this year.
Yeah.
Take all that money, they can't put people around you.
No. And if you love football, and that's the reason why you do it, ultimately, you want to win Super Bowls, don't you? And you want to win. I know it's not the be all and end all. You want to secure lifetime money for your family and generational money so that your family is, never have to work ever again and can all sit around watching highlights of Mahomes winning 3 Super Bowls or whatever.
But take 40 million guaranteed.
Yeah, I think you're still fine with that, aren't you? So
yeah.
I don't think that's a problem. Yeah, I mean, I hope that that's the way it goes, and yeah, to jump off the back of it, because even though I sort of slapped the Vikings, that was more sort of going at them rather than going for Sam Darnold. But in this game, he was every bit a quarterback that you wanted to see. You know, he was every bit of a complementary quarterback to this offense. If anything, he was the driving force that the reasons that the Seahawks won this game, because the defense couldn't stop Stafford when it counted. So if anything, in this game, Sam Darnold was that franchise quarterback. And I think now, winning 2 massive playoff games, 14 wins in a season and a 14 win last season, how seriously do you take him? I'm not saying he's like a top 5 quarterback or whatever, but like you said, Dave, you probably, the Seahawks probably have to have that conversation of, what do we lock him in for longer, or you can't continue to have these conversations. I guess the last game that he will be judged on, or the biggest game that he'll be judged on, will be the biggest game of his career, which will be the Super Bowl game this week. I still think, irrespective of the outcome, he's done enough to be taken seriously and, you know, I think monitored as one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah, he's certainly in that top tier of that top. He's a top 10 quarterback in the league, which is by no means throwing shade at him.
No,
when you think that you can probably throw out 6 of them names that are actual superstars.
Yeah,
but he's in that. He's elevated himself above people like Baker Mayfield, Dak Prescott.
Yeah,
for me anyway. Yeah. You know, he's shown he can win double digit games with 2 different franchises, and more importantly than that, he's destroying these elite teams in the playoff.
Yeah, and
that's where it counts. You know, you can have these regular season, these Philip Rivers kind of like quarterbacks that just can't get it done in the playoffs. These Justin Herberts.
Yeah.
He must be something between the ears. He's not got the physical ability. He's obviously got the physical ability compared to people like Justin Herbert, who is way more athletic, bigger arm, taller, by all like metrics should be a better quarterback. I'd take Sam Darnold over him every day of the week. I think if you put Herbert in the Seahawks team, I don't think he does as well. I don't think he's got it between the ears.
Yeah. No, it's a really good point to make, and also actions speak louder than words, don't they? And you have to take away from the fact that Sam Darnold throughout this season, one way or another, with an elite defense, has made the Super Bowl, and it hasn't been an easy route. It's not like, oh, they've only played the Jets, the Dolphins, the whatever. Like, the NFC West is the toughest division in football this year, and they won it and beat both of those teams to get into the Super Bowl. Like, it couldn't have been harder. So, yeah, nice, good, slap or sign over. That is it. We've got one more slap or sign, and that will be a Super Bowl slap or sign. We now move into our final segment, which will be our Super Bowl 60 preview. And just like that, we are there. We are in Santa Clara. We are in San Francisco. We are headed to the Super Bowl. Seattle Seahawks take on the New England Patriots. 2 iconic franchises, both played each other in a Super Bowl before. 2 very different paths to the Super Bowl. Seattle's been explosive on defense, confident, peaking at the right time, and New England has been disciplined, fortunate, but equally played very, very safe and solid football. So, talking about this game, guys, let's talk about the star power going into this game, the coaching, and then ultimately what we believe will happen at Super Bowl 60. Camo, there's 1 game left, only 1 Lombardi trophy to win. What are you feeling about this Super Bowl matchup between the Seahawks and the New England Patriots? A rematch of 2014, the 1 yard line, infamous run the ball, pass, interception, Russell Wilson, Pete the Meat Carroll lose a back-to-back Super Bowl opportunity. Is it going to be different this time?
Certainly not coming down to the last play, that's for sure. It's going to be a slightly cagey first quarter, but I think quarters 2 and 3, you'll open up a lead. Drake May will not do anything special. You've got difference makers. I actually think Kenneth Walker's decided to remember he's a running back and turn up. So actually, you've got a run game that's looking better as well. So your all-round balance is a lot cleaner. And yeah, I think you're going to comfortably win. And as long as Sam Darnold plays a clean game, you've got nothing to worry about.
Okay.
You've got nothing to worry about. Just be clean. Doesn't even have to like force it. I think you've got enough in you to just take what's in front of you.
Right.
I don't think they will be able to stick with you at all. Your defense will be too much for them. You've got more than enough on offense. Special teams people are scared about. And yeah, I don't think it's going to be a tight game at all.
Interesting. I mean, it's a great take, and as a Seahawks fan, it's probably exactly what you want to hear. I mean, I think there's been comments from the listeners. I've been very on the fence with, not on the fence, but reserved with my opinion on the Seahawks, and it's almost felt like a little bit too good to be true scenario. But the last few weeks in the playoffs has made me believe in. I believed in the Seahawks from day one, but it's made me believe that we are a top tier team in the NFL, and that it would take a top tier team to stop us from winning a game. We've lost 3 games this year. 1 to the Rams, 1 to the Niners, which was the first game of the season, both of which were lost by less than 3 points, and then 1 to the Buccaneers when our entire secondary was injured. Combined 9 points between all 3 games. So to beat the Seahawks, it's going to take something. I don't think, just off the conversations that we've had about the Patriots, I don't think the Patriots have quite got it, albeit I do not want to underestimate them in any shape or form. I want us to play them like we're playing the Rams or like we're playing Patrick Mahomes. You know, I want them to be dialed in and locked into every second to make sure that we give them nothing. But I believe if we do that, we've got the ability to win. And I think that coaching wise, Vrabel's an amazing coach. I think this Mike McDonald could be on the road to being, you know, just as good a coach. Obviously, he's defensive minded, but I think he's done enough to prove that he's in that elite cerebral conversation of coaches. They've got 2 weeks as well. We've got a gap next week for the Pro Bowl, etc., and there's a whole load of time to game plan. So yeah, I would now maybe just back myself and back my boys and say, I do think we can beat them. I do think we will beat them. I hope we do. I'm not taking away from the fact that just getting here feels like a massive achievement. Dave, Seahawks, New England.
Yeah, I think the Seahawks win. Again, I think you're going to put a pounding on them. Their strength is their run game. You've not gave up 100-yard rusher in 25 games. October 2024 was the last time the Seahawks gave up 100 yards to a running back.
Yeah.
Your strength is obviously defense. I don't think they've got anything on offense that can cause you trouble. You're going to get after the quarterback. I don't even think on defense they've got. I just don't think they match up well against you. I think they're a run first team to set up play action, and I don't think you can't do that when you can't set up the run. You can't run the ball. You've got that safety that everyone keeps saying his name wrong, Iman Warrior. He is an absolute stud, you know, and he tackles everything, tackle for a loss, pass breakups. He was all over the field yesterday. And you're telling me that Keyshawn Booty and Matt Collins and old Stephon Diggs are going to cause your secondary problems? I don't think so. And you're right, that Will Campbell, some of his pass protection plays that they showed were awful. I just don't think I don't think at any level they can really cause much problems as long as Sam Darnold is safe with the ball. Like Cam was saying, Kenneth Walker's been a stud the last probably 5 weeks, the last couple of games of the season, and then the playoffs. Yesterday he was just running for everything. You know, your run game was on point from the off. So I think that you guys, I know also the Patriots have got a few injuries from the last game.
Okay.
I just don't think they've got anything. And it's a weird one to say in it because you're sat here being like, oh, we're like massively the favourites. There's a reason for it. Yeah, no, I bet because it's also any given Sunday, isn't it? Like any team can win on any day. You know, good teams beat crap teams beat good teams. It's a random. This season's been more random than any. But I think
I think when it comes to it, you've got to call a spade a spade, and I think that your team is far better than theirs. Your defense is far better than their offense.
Yeah, I agree. And obviously, entirely, I'm a Seahawks fan, and I agree with what's been said. And I'm trying to if it was the Seahawks, I'm just trying to give the Seahawks a different logo and a different coloured kit, but the same people, and then play them against the Patriots. If what I've just witnessed in the last 5 weeks or even season comes to pass in the Super Bowl, you do look at the Seahawks and go, they'll destroy, or they're not destroy, but they'll beat them. The problem, and the one thing that you just mentioned, which I think is worth mentioning, this season has been ridiculous, like so random, like great teams losing, teams that you wouldn't expect to winning. Do you not think that the narrative of this season would be a downtrodden, counted out Drake May beating the Seattle Seahawks for yet another Super Bowl for the Patriots? I just feel like it fits the narrative of this really wild, eclectic, unknown season. And whether that's just hogwash or whether that's just part of the Wild West that we could see the season being this year, I don't know. But it makes me feel like it could happen.
We've also got that amazing Bad Bunny halftime show to really get excited about. Can't wait for that.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, for sure, Camo. I don't know anything about Bad Bunny. I don't think I've ever listened to one of his songs. But
nope.
As long as it is a song accompanying the Seahawks being up by 20 points at halftime, I'll be a happy man.
I say, does the occasion get to anybody? Which could happen.
Maybe.
It's a longer halftime. Yeah. But no, I think you're going to be comfortable.
I guess we'll see. And that's it. It wraps up our conference championship round on In the End Zone UK. 2 great games, I guess. 1 great game, 1 slugfest, and essentially throughout the season 2 deserving winners to show down in Super Bowl 60. Next week, there is a break in the schedule. It's Pro Bowl time, I guess, which means nothing to anybody who really likes football. It's just a game show. So we will be coming with a podcast, but it will be a different type of podcast. We'll be talking our end of season awards. We'll be talking all of the coaching moves, and there's been a whole host of them in this off season. And we'll be talking breaking news, and obviously it may be anything that comes out just before the Super Bowl. But that's what we will be coming with next week, and the week after. In the End Zone UK, minus Cam, because he's on holiday, unfortunately. Boo. Heads to Hickory's in Nottingham for the Super Bowl in a private screening room. For all those listening out there who are joining us, we cannot wait. It's going to be great. We're going to have some drinks. We're going to play games beforehand, and really looking forward to it. For those that aren't going to be there and support our podcast, unless you're a Patriots fan, please cheer on the Seahawks. I want them to win. But for now, make sure you share this podcast, share our socials with your friends and family. Super Bowl is a great time to get people invested in football. At In the End Zone UK on Instagram, at In the End Zone UK on X. Until then, football is life. Cheers, boys.
Peace.
Nice one.
Catch me balling like I'm in that end zone. I got my homies in the no new friend zone. You know, making plays that land us in the end zone. Coming in clutch, you can catch me in the end zone. End zone.